Hello, Brijesh ji. How are you?
I'm fine, Sarfraz. Long time. How are you? Can you hear me?
I think you are mute probably.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
Now can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you.
There's some issue with Sarfraz sir audio. Because we can hear
Uh,
Brijesh sir.
Oh, I can't hear you either. I think there is some
you can
issue.
hear
Rahman,
me now? Can you hear me now, Arman?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. But I think
Oh,
Sarfraz sir has some audio issue. Let me call him.
थोड़ा volume down. Yes. Oh, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me, sir, right now?
Yes, now I can hear you loud and clear.
Yes, please. Okay.
थोड़ा volume down. Oh, ठीक है. और भी कुछ. हाँ.
long time, Sarfraz. How are you?
Fine. How are you? Nice seeing you. How
Same
things are
here.
going
How
with
many
you?
years? You have not met since long, huh?
It is quite long. I think for last 5-6 years,
True,
after COVID, there were activities were very and then
true.
probably I got completely cut off.
Yes. You are in Abu Dhabi now? Or in Dubai?
No, I am here in Dubai.
Okay. Good. Let's catch up sometimes.
Oh, you are always welcome. I'm just opposite
Sure.
Abu Dhabi metro station.
Oh, is it? Okay. I'm also in head
So
office, ENOC. Anytime, whenever you are passing by, just let me know. So we
it would
can
be
we can
pleasure.
meet for sure.
It will be definitely pleasure. There are quite a few things, particularly which we have got patent for, and probably ENOC may have the requirement for the oil spill,
Mm-hmm.
which we
Okay.
did it
Also,
in DP World, that Star Energy. They had issues
mhm.
in Jebel Ali. The oil film is a very detrimental.
Mm.
Slightest few hundred grams, few milliliter of oil can spoil the entire thing. And
See,
we have
actually,
done.
this particular issues, we were part of it with Thrakis, and now Thrakis
Ah,
will change regulation. Actually, they will bring
मिशन
bring
लाइफ का मंत्र है लाइफस्टाइल फॉर एनवायरमेंट। पृथ्वी पर रहने वाले प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को व्यक्तिगत प्रयासों की कामना के साथ ही आज ये मिशन लाइफ का ये विजन दुनिया के सामने रख रहा हूं।
प्रकृति बेटा, पृथ्वी पर तुम्हें क्या करना है तुम्हें पता है ना?
मुझे लोगों को प्यार से इंस्पायर और लाइफ के लिए एजुकेट करना है, ताकि वो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज का उपयोग कर इस पृथ्वी को बचाए रखें।
इसमें तुम्हारी मदद करेंगी ये 3 चीजें। पहली, टियारा ऑफ फ्लावर्स, जो तुम्हें हमेशा हैप्पी और एनर्जेटिक रखेंगे। दूसरा, ये बैज ऑफ लाइफ, जो लोगों को पर्यावरण के लिए लाइफ जीवन शैली की याद दिलाएगा। जब वे प्रकृति की रक्षा करेंगे तो प्रकृति उनकी रक्षा करेगी। तुम ये बैज उन लोगों को भी दे सकते हो जो हमारे प्लानेट की बेहतरी के लिए योगदान करते हैं। और तीसरा, ये बैग ऑफ होप, जब भी कोई एनवायरनमेंट को हार्म करे तो तुम इसमें से इको सस्टेनेबल ऑल्टरनेटिव निकाल कर उसे देना।
ओके, अब मैं अपने मिशन पर चलती हूँ। है एक जीवन, है एक मिशन, आओ हम सब मिलकर करें पर्यावरण संरक्षण, पर्यावरण संरक्षण। हर पल गांव और शहर शहर चले इको फ्रेंडली डिस्पोजेबल्स की लहर लहर। कारपूल को अब सब जने अपनाएंगे, अपना शॉपिंग बैग साथ ले जाएंगे। सस्टेनेबल लाइफस्टाइल का है नारा, है ये लक्ष्य हमारा हमारा हमारा। अब हर जन एक पेड़ लगाएगा, पर्यावरण को स्वच्छ बनाएगा।
पर्यावरण, वन और जलवायु परिवर्तन मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार।
मिशन लाइफ का मंत्र है लाइफस्टाइल फॉर एनवायरमेंट। पृथ्वी पर रहने वाले प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को व्यक्तिगत प्रयासों की कामना के साथ ही आज ये मिशन लाइफ का ये विजन दुनिया के सामने रख रहा हूं।
प्रकृति बेटा, पृथ्वी पर तुम्हें क्या करना है तुम्हें पता है ना?
मुझे लोगों को प्यार से इंस्पायर और लाइफ के लिए एजुकेट करना है, ताकि वो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज का उपयोग कर इस पृथ्वी को बचाए रखें।
इसमें तुम्हारी मदद करेंगी ये 3 चीजें। पहली, टियारा ऑफ फ्लावर्स, जो तुम्हें हमेशा हैप्पी और एनर्जेटिक रखेंगे। दूसरा, ये बैज ऑफ लाइफ, जो लोगों को पर्यावरण के लिए लाइफ जीवन शैली की याद दिलाएगा। जब वे प्रकृति की रक्षा करेंगे तो प्रकृति उनकी रक्षा करेगी। तुम ये बैज उन लोगों को भी दे सकती हो जो हमारे प्लानिट की बेहतरी के लिए योगदान करते हैं। और तीसरा, ये बैग ऑफ होप, जब भी कोई एनवायरनमेंट को हार्म करे तो तुम इसमें से इको सस्टेनेबल ऑल्टरनेटिव निकाल कर उसे देना।
ओके, अब मैं अपने मिशन पर चलती हूँ। है एक जीवन, है एक मिशन, आओ हम सब मिलकर करें पर्यावरण संरक्षण, पर्यावरण संरक्षण। हर सब जन अपनाएंगे, अपना शॉपिंग बैग साथ ले जाएंगे। सस्टेनेबल लाइफस्टाइल का है नारा, है ये लक्ष्य हमारा हमारा हमारा। अब हर जन एक पेड़ लगाएगा, पर्यावरण को स्वच्छ बनाएगा। हो सबकी भागीदारी तो खुशियां हरदम।
पर्यावरण, वन और जलवायु परिवर्तन मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार।
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm audible to everyone.
Yes, Arman, I can hear you.
So, thank you so much for joining. So, we'll start around 4:03 or 4:05. People are still joining. So, we'll wait 2 or 3 minutes more.
Sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, it's audible.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you can discuss about Fitsol also. What is Fitsol?
Yes, we will. Just wait for 2 more minutes. So, people are still joining. So, let's wait for them.
मिशन लाइफ का मंत्र है लाइफस्टाइल फॉर एनवायरमेंट। पृथ्वी पर रहने वाले प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को व्यक्तिगत प्रयासों की कामना के साथ ही आज ये मिशन लाइफ का ये विजन दुनिया के सामने रख रहा हूं।
प्रकृति बेटा, पृथ्वी पर तुम्हें क्या करना है तुम्हें पता है ना?
मुझे लोगों को प्यार से इंस्पायर और लाइफ के लिए एजुकेट करना है, ताकि वो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज का उपयोग कर इस पृथ्वी को बचाए रखें।
इसमें तुम्हारी मदद करेंगी ये 3 चीजें। पहली, टियारा ऑफ फ्लावर्स, जो तुम्हें हमेशा हैप्पी और एनर्जेटिक रखेंगे। दूसरा, ये बैज ऑफ लाइफ, जो लोगों को पर्यावरण के लिए लाइफ जीवन शैली की याद दिलाएगा। जब वे प्रकृति की रक्षा करेंगे तो प्रकृति उनकी रक्षा करेगी। तुम ये बैज उन लोगों को भी दे सकते हो जो हमारे प्लानेट की बेहतरी के लिए योगदान करते हैं। और तीसरा, ये बैग ऑफ होप, जब भी कोई एनवायरनमेंट को हार्म करे तो तुम इसमें से इको सस्टेनेबल ऑल्टरनेटिव निकाल कर उसे देना।
ओके, अब मैं अपने मिशन पर चलती हूँ। है एक जीवन, है एक मिशन, आओ हम सब मिलकर करें पर्यावरण संरक्षण, पर्यावरण संरक्षण। संरक्षण, हर पल गांव और शहर शहर चले इको फ्रेंडली डिस्पोजेबल्स की लहर लहर। कारपूल को अब सब जन अपनाएंगे, अपना शॉपिंग बैग साथ ले जाएंगे। सस्टेनेबल लाइफस्टाइल का है नारा, है ये लक्ष्य हमारा हमारा हमारा। अब हर जन एक पेड़ लगाएगा, पर्यावरण को स्वच्छ बनाएगा। हो सबकी भागीदारी तो खुशियां हरदम।
पर्यावरण, वन और जलवायु परिवर्तन मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार।
Hi everyone. So we will start right now. So my name is Arman Ahmed. I'm audible to everyone.
Loud and clear.
Yes. So I will be hosting this webinar. My name is Arman Ahmed, and good evening everyone, and very warm welcome. I welcome you all to today's webinar on the topic navigating UAE's federal degree law number 11 of 2024. As we know, this webinar is organized by Fitsol with the support of Mission Life, Government of India's initiative promoting sustainable lifestyle to explore how collective action can turn compliance into opportunity. As we know, climate change respects no borders, and only through collective actions we can overcome its challenges. This session will provide exclusive insights on compliance strategies, risk management, and emerging business opportunities in the UAE market. So as we have seen videos of Mission Life, so we'll again play that video to make people aware about the urgent need for sustainable lifestyle. So can you have the videos of Mission Life?
मिशन लाइफ का मंत्र है लाइफस्टाइल फॉर एनवायरमेंट। पृथ्वी पर रहने वाले प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को व्यक्तिगत प्रयासों की कामना के साथ ही आज ये मिशन लाइफ का ये विजन दुनिया के सामने रख रहा हूं।
प्रकृति बेटा, पृथ्वी पर तुम्हें क्या करना है तुम्हें पता है ना?
मुझे लोगों को प्यार से इंस्पायर और लाइफ के लिए एजुकेट करना है, ताकि वो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज का उपयोग कर इस पृथ्वी को बचाए रखें।
इसमें तुम्हारी मदद करेंगी ये 3 चीजें। पहली, टियारा ऑफ फ्लावर्स, जो तुम्हें हमेशा हैप्पी और एनर्जेटिक रखेंगे। दूसरा, ये बैज ऑफ लाइफ, जो लोगों को पर्यावरण के लिए लाइफ जीवन शैली की याद दिलाएगा। जब वे प्रकृति की रक्षा करेंगे तो प्रकृति उनकी रक्षा करेगी। तुम ये बैज लोगों को भी दे सकते हो जो हमारे प्लानेट की बेहतरी के लिए योगदान करते हैं। और तीसरा, ये बैग ऑफ होप, जब भी कोई एनवायरनमेंट को हार्म करे तो तुम इसमें से इको सस्टेनेबल ऑल्टरनेटिव निकाल कर उसे देना।
ओके, अब मैं अपने मिशन पर चलती हूँ। है एक जीवन, है एक मिशन, आओ हम सब मिलकर करें पर्यावरण संरक्षण, पर्यावरण संरक्षण। हर पल गांव और शहर शहर चले इको फ्रेंडली डिस्पोजेबल्स की लहर लहर। कारपूल को अब सब जन अपनाएंगे, अपना शॉपिंग बैग साथ ले जाएंगे। सस्टेनेबल लाइफस्टाइल का है नारा, है ये लक्ष्य हमारा हमारा हमारा। अब हर जन एक पेड़ लगाएगा, पर्यावरण को स्वच्छ बनाएगा। हो सबकी भागीदारी तो खुशियां हरदम।
पर्यावरण, वन और जलवायु परिवर्तन मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार।
So this was video of Mission Life, as this webinar is supported by Mission Life. So we just want to tell people how sustainable way of life is important. So now moving ahead, let's me introduce today's speaker. So we are joined today by esteemed panel of experts who bring perspective from policy, business, and sustainability leadership. So let me welcome the first speaker, Mr. Brijesh Dhruve. He is manager of climate change and sustainability at Emirates National Oil Company. Mr. Dhruve is a chartered chemical engineer, chartered environmentalist, and certified energy manager with over 25 years of experience in sustainability, energy transition, decarbonization, and climate governance. Notably, he has been closely engaged in the implementation of UAE's Federal Degree Law number 11 of 2024, working on a strategies for compliance, reporting, and decarbonization pathways for the oil and gas sector. So we welcome you, sir, for accepting our invitation for this webinar. Moving next, we have Mr. Sumit Agarwal. Mr. Sumit is Chief Executive Officer of ESG-WISE. Mr. Agarwal, he is a sustainability leader and ESG strategist with deep experience in helping organizations unlock growth through climate-conscious practice. As the CEO of ESG-WISE, he partners with business to design ESG framework, measure impact, and develop future-ready climate strategies. So we welcome you, sir, Sumit sir, for this webinar. Moving next, we have Mr. Sarfraz Dairkee, sir. He is General Manager, Corporate Development and Engineering at M.A.H.Y. KHOORY and Company. Mr. Dairkee is a seasoned sustainability professional with over 3 decades of experience in energy efficiency, sustainable building practices, and green technology deployment. He is a fellow of the Association of Energy Engineers, USC. He is a founding member and former board director of the Emirates Green Building Council. And he is an active contributor to policy dialogue on energy building and environment in the Middle East. So we welcome you, sir. So, and for this, we have a moderator for this session is Mr. Yashwant Suresh Babu. He is our Chief Strategy Officer. So now I'll be handing this to Yashwant to carry this webinar ahead. Over to Yashwant.
Hey, thanks, Arman. Thank you for ensuring that we come together as a community to discuss all the hot topics, or I would say like topics that is crossing to the hot climate today, right? So let's begin with talking to the esteemed panel, because why we are here to get insights and also perspectives from them, right? Without any delay, Mr. Brijesh, I wanted to start with you, if I can. I wanted to ask, given that you have a deep expertise in sustainability and also you have a very commendable experience in oil and gas sector, right? How do you see UAE's Federal Degree Law number 11 impacting the oil and gas sector in terms of compliance and reporting, and in perspective of not only in UAE, so everywhere is this going to be that based on oil and gas sectors in UAE, will other countries globally also start following this? Happy to take your perspectives.
Thank you for your question, and thank you, Arman, for introducing all of us. This particular degree, of course, it is impacting positively to oil and gas sector, but it is also bringing commitment, because I see this as a game changer, because it is shifting climate action from voluntary commitment, because at a global level, if you see climate action is basically voluntary commitment. But now, because of this federal decree law, it is now an enforceable obligation. And for the oil and gas sector, the most immediate impact will be on compliance and reporting, of course. This particular cabinet decree, it is containing total 21 articles under this decree. And out of this, I would like to pinpoint 3 articles. Article 6, which is making MRV mandatory. So MRV is measurement, reporting, and verification. It requires companies to maintain verifiable emission inventory, retaining records for 5 years, and submitting periodic reports into a national electronic system. Second article I would like to pinpoint here is article number 5, which is mandating annual sectoral reduction targets reviewed regularly. So it means for oil and gas companies is basically to embed climate targets into our operational as well as financial planning. So not as a parallel reporting, but actually at the same as a part of our business as usual condition. Last but not least, Article 10, it is introducing market-based mechanism, which is emission trading, carbon offsetting, and shadow pricing. So it actually transforms entire compliance into a potential source of business opportunity. So in a nutshell, the law forces us to treat emission with the same rigor as financial accounting. And I see this particular cabinet decree law number 11 of 2024 positively impacting the oil and gas sector. It will accelerate the process of climate action. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for starting that on a good note. I request everyone to take notes. We will also share the key insights later, but as and when the speakers are sharing very critical insights and their perspectives, right? Given these are leaders from the sectors, it is better that all other companies take a note of it. It would be very handy for you all. Next off, I'll move to Mr. Sarfraz. Sarfraz, if you could unmute, almost in the similar lines, right? How will Federal Degree Law number 11 of 2024 influence the entire construction, engineering, and manufacturing businesses in UAE. Almost in the similar lines, but the entire different sector. Is there a different perspective taken by the sector and the company? And what do you think we should all be approaching in this entire sector?
Yeah, see, like construction sector is probably going to be the most affected one. When we talk of construction, we are talking of basically two. We can break it into portions. One we call is the embedded energy, which is the construction building material, steel, concrete, whatsoever, glass, whatsoever we are using it. That is one part of it. That is in fact, to me, that is a smaller portion of it, which is right now most of the time, most of the attention it is getting through that. The second part of it is that operational carbon footprint. That has enormous amount of possibilities and opportunities. And that is where I feel that lots of design changes would require, because basically so far in the construction factor, it is very highly influenced by the developed world. So most of the buildings, what we see, or the way we are being trained as engineers, we always seek to control the buildings, in the sense that control the climate within the thing. And one of the very challenging aspect of it is of climate change is the thermal comfort. And that is going to be a very, very challenging aspect of it. It would require very imaginative thinking. There is a lot of possibilities to adopt a new technologies in that, and we'll talk about it in the next phase. When we talk of in terms of engineering, it is again going to be make a significant changes, in the sense that when we talk of it will shift the focus. Right now, our focus is very high obsolescence and replacement of the things. It probably the focus may have to be shifted towards circular economy, where we are talking of reusing and re-engineering. That is one aspect of it which needs to be focused in, and that is how basically it would require creative thinking. And to me, it's a kind of disruptive development. Instead of incremental development, it calls for a disruptive development. This is how we have to work and have a vision for that, because there is a demanding thing that I put it this way: the objectives or aims have, or the destination has significantly changed. So it also demands the course change. Going on so far what have been adopted is that we continue to go on a course which is tried and tested and which we are familiar with. And then what we do is that on top of green building and all those requirements, we add that on that particular course. So basically you go to one course and then we take a tutor. So it makes the things very expensive and not doable. So what it would require, that it would not require an incremental, it will require a disruptive thinking, it would require a new way of thinking, and that is possible. We have to learn a lot of possibilities from nature. So like before now, so like before 100 years back, like people ask me, net zero building. I said that 100 years back, every building was net zero. So today, and it offers lots of opportunity to adapt from there. Same way in the engineering. Now it comes to the next thing is manufacturing. Like same thing has to be adapted. The manufacturing will be more of looking to the processes in a very, very careful manner. And basically the emphasis probably may have to shift it from the quantity of energy. Like we always measure the kilowatt hours. Now, kilowatt hours of electricity is not the same as kilowatt hours of what we call is thermal energy. Both have a lot of difference, and that has to be appreciated, and that will impact on all the rest of the sectors. Yashwant?
Thank you, Mr. Sarfraz. And audience, if you happen to have any questions in general or in pointed to any of the speakers, feel free to drop it in the chat. Arman, let's take a note of all the questions that comes on LinkedIn and the chat, and let's touch base on it at the end of the session. Let's not interrupt it in between. And on that note, thank you, Mr. Sarfraz. Mr. Sumit, I have a question, but it's quite different from what I had asked the others. Mr. Sumit, if you could give us a perspective of what was like ESG frameworks and reporting before this decree law number 11, and what has it done after that, right? Has it accelerated any of the sustainability reportings or the approach for the companies to adopt it, given that it's a mandatory requirement now? What is the take of different companies and your perspectives or interactions from the market? Mr. Sumit, if you could give us a perspective of that entire acceleration, if that is still accelerating, or will that be still more time that could take towards that end? Mr. Sumit, if you could give us a perspective on that.
Thanks, Ashwin. First of all, thank you for organizing this. I think it is well-timed workshop and with good speakers. So today, when we are interacting with the organizations, definitely this is one step towards regulation. So, and this directly comes linked with the UAE and NDC. So recently, UAE has further increased their ambition of nationally determined contribution from 30% to 35%. Now, at a country level, when they will reduce emissions, that will definitely impact the sectorial organization, because countries' emissions are some product of the emissions that are done by the government sector as well as the private sector. So I think this particular regulation is one closer steps in closing out that gap and capturing that private sector. So UAE, in terms of the set ESG frameworks, they had the respective frameworks applicable in the ADX and DFM that has been given by the stock exchanges. There are guidelines that has already been given by central banks. So UAE Central Bank has already given guidelines related to the climate risk. There has been guidelines related to your stress testing and including climate related risk into stress testing for the portfolio level banks as well. Now, what this particular regulation does is this, for the first time, goes to the broader organizations which are not part of, let's say, the financial sector. So let's say there's a large organization which today is not listed, or a large organization which is not a bank. They were not impacted by these previous laws. This particular law clearly states that if your emissions are higher than a particular number, then you are supposed to report it. And in case if you are not reporting it, then there are associated penalties around it. So what it does is it directly brings in a financial risk in case organizations are not measuring their emissions or their emissions are high. And in terms of what we have seen in the market, so already people are moving towards, so they were looking for, so currently, as you all might be aware, this particular law is restricted to the scope 1 and scope 2. So what scope 1 and scope 2 states is that you would be looking more at emissions that companies are directly buying, or the scope 2 emissions which are currently coming from their electricity or the heat, or your buying your cooling needs. So that's where the current emissions are focusing, the scope 1 and 2. So once you're looking at this, now organizations, they are looking to audit their emissions. Previously, they were measuring these emissions, they were reporting, but there was no auditing. And typically when we audit these organizations for their GHG audits for their scope 1 and 2, what we realize is that there's a lot of error, there's a lot of miscommunication, and there's a lot of understanding gap that exists. And what that does is that either overstates their inventory, or at times it is underreported. What it does is it directly impacts their effort to reduce as well. As well as there's a clear gap in terms of omission of reporting. Like there are certain assets which neither of the two parties, like one lessee or the lessor, in terms of scope 2 emissions are reporting. So various such gaps we have identified. So yes, in terms of frameworks, I think this will accelerate the reporting. People will measure more and more emissions. They will be going for strict auditing, third-party audit checks. And once these audit checks also happens, they will probably plan for reducing their emissions. And just one last point here, this is also impacted by the sustainability linked loan frameworks that organizations are part of. So some of these assignments where we are working, what we see is that organizations, they are getting the sustainability linked loans from the various banking and the financial institutions. And they are also putting the key mandate of reducing emissions. So what I think is that all of these things, like your central bank guidelines, your net zero commitments, your ESG frameworks, your this cabinet law 11, your sustainability linked loans, they are kind of an ecosystem that is being created, which would possibly pressure organization to choose things which are more sustainable. And at the same time, this can also be an enabler to your carbon markets and the carbon trading, because that has also been hinted there, and that's a huge potential there. So I think that's where currently the ecosystem stands. Large emitters or large organizations which has a lot of real estate assets, they are the first one to emit, because in UAE, your major scope 1 and scope 2 emissions will come from your electricity consumptions, and typically your fuel or the refrigerant combustion for the, let's say, the non-oil sector organizations which are not producing oil. So that's a major consumption part, and many organizations would be having emissions which will be larger than this particular limit. So yeah, that's what my stand is.
Mr. Sumit, thank you. That was quite insightful, and also a perspective of how there are so many levers that's accelerating the entire reporting, right? I have a few follow-up questions, but I will stitch up with the later part of the session. But on that note, right, like while you told that what all nudges and then accelerates companies to do that. Now let's understand from Mr. Brijesh on the side where the companies might face challenges. Mr. Brijesh, what do you think are the major challenges in towards this adoption of this reporting, given that it's mandated now? What are the major challenges that these companies in energy sector face under the mandate of this law? And then what are companies doing to overcome that? If you can throw some light on that, that would be also a good angle to look at.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your question. So, if I mention challenge, the first challenge is data itself, because and when I say data, then I what I mean is data collection, data cleanliness, and to ensure overall data integrity, basically. Because one point we have to also understand, not only oil and gas, majority of plants, factories, premises uh, are having age old assets are aging, and we can't replace assets overnight, and it actually automatically brings a risk of standard assets, fermented metering systems, and many companies are also operating under joint ventures, so especially in free zones. So to build a unified digital MRV system is very, very critical. So first challenge, and I can see there are other two challenges as well. So the first one, I would say data, to ensure proper data integrity. Another one is capability and governance itself, because if you read the law, this law gives judicial authority to verify data, as well as imposing fines of around 50,000 to up to 2 million dirhams, doubling for each repeat offense. And that's why companies need compliance framework, dashboards, climate related project management offices, PMOs with very, very clear accountability in place. When I say this, it is also to be supported by enhancing capability of people, capability of system as well, ensuring governance in terms of KPIs. Like, for example, the companies that I currently work with, we have sustainability performance KPIs for last 10 years. It is actually embedded into our balance scorecard, and we don't find any issue in sustainability linked loan, whether law is there or not. So for us, it's like our GHG reduction KPI is 10 years. It's very mature. Our data is also very mature in terms of scope 1 and scope 2, but it's not sufficient, as Sumit mentioned, because sometimes you have to be very sure about your data. You have to be very sure about scope 1, scope 2 emission, what you are reporting, to whom you are reporting, consistency of data. It should not happen that you are reporting X data to one ministry and Y data to other ministry. So this particular law is going to bring a centralized approach through digitalization, and it's just a matter of time, basically. The third issue, or the third challenge, I would say, is economics itself, the transition economics, mainly from oil and gas perspective, because we have to balance our decarbonization effort with the stakeholder return. We are talking a lot about EV, solar, means renewable, everything is good and it has demonstrated a lot of opportunities. But when it comes to ensuring nation's energy security, I can't close petrol pumps and say that, okay, from tomorrow I'll be sustainable. So, and as a chemical engineer, I would say that when I'm sitting here right now, and if I see in my surrounding, 90% of product is oil based. Wherever you are sitting right now, just look around. 90% of product is oil based. So to balance decarbonization efforts with our shareholders return is really a good challenge. And but what I would say here is, like, having reviewed this particular cabinet degree from scratch, we also institutionalize basically the shadow carbon pricing, and as Sumit mentioned, national carbon registry, carbon credit registry. So it will enable companies to evaluate capex, opex, basically with climate adjusted rate of return. So overall, I would say there are three challenges: data, capability and governance, and transition economics. I would also like to add like how company can prepare. Like, for example, if you ask me what will be my 100-day plan, because in my company we run 100-day challenge. So like under 100, immediately for 100 days, we can have our centralized pool of MRV control towers. We can prioritize abatement projects, energy efficiency, immediate flaring reduction, methane reduction, basically. We can design adoption plan for our infrastructure, insurance and returns and all. And we can develop offset strategy as well, integrating into our UAE registry. So yes, challenges are there, but this law provides both things. At the same time, it is providing stick as well as it is providing carrot to accelerate the readiness. So my take would be this about challenges. Thank you.
No, actually, very well mentioned, right? Like, to tie up with what Mr. Sumit also mentioned, Mr. Brijesh, that this data inconsistency across different types of reporting, right? So probably like how now everyone getting this audited is one of the very first steps that, as Sumit also mentioned, I think good that all of you are almost in the same lines. While you're all individual speakers, good to see that the leaders are all almost aligned in the same.
We talk daily with each other.
Okay, I could. That's why I could see that. Like, there's a sense of singularity, right? Because I think it's an industry level problem, and the leaders are the ones who are supposed to drive it with singularity, right? Glad to see that. And Mr. Sarfraz, over to you. What risk management practices should companies adopt to align with the law mandates in your sector, right? As you mentioned, Mr. Sarfraz, yours is the sector that we mentioned, right? Like, across construction engineering, it's a wide one, right? In UAE perspective also, it's like right from the raw materials to the operationalization of that, right? What are the risks, and then how do companies even get prepared to that?
See, I entirely agree with my fellow panelists, particularly Brijesh, what we are talking about, the measurement and verification. That is the key thing. Whatsoever you can't manage anything which you cannot measure. So that is the most primary aspect of it. So silver lining of this is I started my career as a merchant navy officer and almost like 40 years back. So where the measurement was far more challenging than what today is. Today, with the IoTs, with the things, we are sitting here and I can check whatsoever is happening in my room. It's a lot of opportunities has opened up. The same way, I started my career with the flight rules. Now you have the very fine, capable mathematical tool which can quickly analyze your data, which can quickly capture the data. So this is the definitely opportunities. However, there is a big challenge is how to use that knowledge and capabilities. It requires some kind of, it has a steep learning curve. And most often than not, what I noticed is that particular learning is not applied. To me, products are not the solutions. So it requires some kind of training, some kind of, more than training, it requires that appreciation of that knowledge that it is important to measure something. And once we know it, then there are definitely that challenge becomes a very big opportunity, because the moment you start measuring the things and you start knowing the things, the moment you start knowing the things, then you also try to collate the things. Now, collate the data earlier it was a very, very challenging aspect of it. So like the first simulation which I ran almost like in 80s, early 80s, it took me at least 90 sleepless nights for developing a room air conditioner simulation. Now today you can do a much, much better job. So definitely I entirely agree with measurement and verification is the foundation of entire thing. The moment we start doing that, you get to the next one is that governance. One thing which I would aspect to it, there is a lot of learning available from the past, particularly what happens that what we has been done, and that is one of the key opportunity which I feel that most of the time we are copying the things. The technology is being copied rather than adapted. And when we are doing the measurement and verification, it will to me it will trigger the things towards adaptation. There is a very fine line between the adaptation and the copy.
It's very,
When
very
you do
true,
the
very true.
when you read between the lines, that is adaptation. When you just read the book, that is copy. So this is what happens, and that could open up lots of possibilities and opportunities. I think I have cleared it.
Yeah, very pretty much. Like,
Suresh, someone has asked a question basically on chat. I can see.
yes.
So
How
Brijesh,
the-
we will have a
questions. We will pick it up at the end in consolidated.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Brijesh, for pointing that out. But and yeah, to summarize, Mr. Sarfraz very well mentioned in terms of what people might not even get it in books, right? Like to also see like the difference between copying and adaptation. Right? Like these are the subtle things that I think they're going to be takeaways which you'll not find anywhere else. People can Google other insights also, but these kind of insights which the leaders and veterans have seen through it over the years, right? That's where I think people need to take benefit. And again, iterating folks on the webinar, right? If like to even have a session with these veterans, right? It will take a lot for you to have accessibility. So once again, glad that all of them are here to share their perspectives and insights that will help your companies and your sustainability careers and goals, right? So thank you, Mr. Sarfraz, again on that. Mr. Sumit, over to you, right? Like now you have your panel panelists who are from the industries who are talking about the challenges and other points. So you being on the other side, who's on the solution side, right? I want to understand from two perspectives, right? Like in the last 6-7 years, people have been talking about data being the new oil. We are in the right audience also. So how can data and technology play a huge role in this entire challenges that people have been talking, right? Like consistently, I see both of them talking about it, and not only both of them, even in India, when I'm talking to so many folks about their GC accounting reporting, right? Everyone has so much inconsistency in data or to manage data, and so many systems already scattered around, and people already have different key areas across different verticals. So how do we leverage technology and data to solve for a lot of these gaps? Your perspective from your own experience and what looks forward in the industry.
So there are two aspects. Let's take a step back. So data or any technology system today, they are as good as how you are using them. So it's garbage in, garbage out if you're not using them well. So in terms of adding to what challenges that happens today in industries, apart from the capacity development, I think one of the biggest challenge that any organization faces today is a competitive world. People want stakeholder returns, and they do not have infinite budgets to put across that. Let's say that I would have 50 people looking for sustainability. Organizations have 500, 600 people. So typically speaking, the mental of the sustainability would be cross-functional with various departments, various countries. And then these people understanding sustainability, they kind of carrying that data along with them. They putting that data, understanding what data to use, what systems to use. So I think the first step is the basic core understanding with all these players and everyone who has large data, that what needs to be done at an organization level. At some point of the time, this will become like a cookie cutter. I mean, today we are using ERPs, we are using a procurement system, we are using HRIS. So I think at some point of the time, your GHG accounting will again become a cookie cutter. But today, at least, there are a lot of nuances, ad adaptability being mentioned by my fellow panelists. Like there are a lot of nuances. Like for example, what kind of the, let's say, emission factors you would want to use, how exactly, which emissions you want to track. And specifically, I mean, at least in the short term, I do see that organization may think about subcontracting more, because currently this law mandates scope 1 and 2. So there is I mean, while government can always bring in a scope 3, but what this also does is that if organizations are pushing their scope 1 and 2 emission towards a scope 3, that could at least delay the transition from there. And so that could be one strategy that organizations might follow in the short term. But yes, I mean, in terms of the digital tools, depending on the maturity of the organization, they will be adopted. Not single solution fit everyone. Like, for example, depending on the organization complexity, their type of the emissions, their type of the people, how they are using those emissions, whether they want in these tools the respective local emission factors, global emission factors, or supplier specific emission factors, or in terms of the data as well, how granular they want to put that across, or what kind of proofs they want to put it. Like, for example, they want to integrate auditing in that or not. And then again, remember, sustainability is still in a transition phase into most of the organization. Typically, when we see sustainability heads, they are quite loaded. There are one or two guys who are managing most of these things, including initiatives, budgets, planning, reports, a lot of initiatives, and including all the training that goes to the various departments and the department level initiatives. So what that means is that if we are saying that you need to adopt to a sustainable tool from a day zero, I think that's not something that's gonna happen very soon. But yes, if you're talking about an organization which is mature, they are reporting, they already have inventory, they already have understanding, then in 2 to 3 years, they will adopt the technology. Definitely, technology will push the transition forward, because errors like today, you have computer vision, so you can directly scan most of the documents. They can identify most of the items. Your emission factors can directly be picked up. Your respective emissions can directly be tracked. They can also reduce the problems of that typically are associated with humans. Like, for example, if employees are discontinuing, there's a lot of data that may be lost. So that may be covered if you're using those digital tools. So I do see digital tools as a transition that would happen. But possibly speaking, that will still take at least 1 to 2 years in GCC, because currently there is a cost to the digital transition, and the readiness also matters. And in both of the ways, I at least see when I meet organization that there are gaps, and they would like to first of all solve their initial challenges at hand, that they want to measure these emissions, solve these emissions, and then possibly once they are confident that yes, now we are confident with it, they will move towards platforms. Yeah.
Got it. Actually, so very rightly mentioned, right? Like just to summarize and probably make it again iterated for the audience. Mr. Sumit has ideally identified and also mentioned about inward-looking problems and outward-looking problems, right? Like bringing all the platforms is all outward, while inward, right? Like as you mentioned, today as a capacity building for most of the organizations, they themselves do not have teams as at large. As you mentioned, it's like probably one man running the entire show, probably a team of 2 or 3, whereas the penalty is huge. The budgets versus penalties also do not make economic sense. But so it's time that companies start adopting their P&L with this as a huge budget. That is what is going to help them pave their way forward, right? And not only for their capacity building for them, but for their suppliers. And then only you can also see a merit in the platforms that they use. So very rightly mentioned, Sumit. Thanks for highlighting that.
Yashwant, I don't see organizations increasing their P&L with the budgets.
Yeah.
I mean, remember that organizations have their own goals. What I see going forward is that they will train, and a lot of those things are happening now. We are seeing those requests from the clients. There are a lot of cross-functional training that is happening. Like sustainability, a procurement guy will carry his own sustainability, an operation guy will carry his own sustainability metrics. Finance guy will be responsible for his own sustainability metrics. Your respective, let's say, in charge of a particular store, he will be responsible for its own sustainability metrics. And that way, possibly speaking, sustainability would become a part of each and every job description going forward. But I don't think so that these budgets will increase, because organizations, as I say, they live in a competitive world.
Correct.
And I think in the short term, they will be looking to train these people and manage these internally. And then in the long term, once these people are trained, they will be looking at these software solutions.
No, no, more equally aligned, right? Like, and that's been my takeaway. But I've just seen two types of user person in India. One that is probably very profitable to think of it as a small budget expansion, but even to train others, they have to allocate some short-term budgets, right? Because the current teams or the expertise is not there to train and to ensure that there's a separate frameworks or KRAs or metrics. And then, so example, as you mentioned, the supply chain team, right? Like for them to take it across their scope 3. So there's a good amount of heavy lifting to be done, but completely agreed and aligned on that. So hopefully we see that a pivotal change that everyone's KRAs is going to evolve, majorly to touch base with not only quality, cost savings, but also sustainability metrics and carbon emission savings is going to be the way forward, is what I've been also telling people. Good to see, good to hear from you also, Mr. Sumit. And Mr. Brijesh, coming back to you. Um, Given that we've seen the challenges, given that we are seeing how technology is going to play a role, right? In totality, while UAE has taken mandates and targets, how can the energy sector contribute to achieving UAE's net zero that's been planned for 2050 as a target under this regulation? So what all will be done from the energy sector? What all is being done that will be further accelerated or widened? Over to you, Mr. Brijesh.
Question is good. What I would say is, again, I would focus on Article 4 of the Cabinet Decree, which is laying the way on clear mitigation pathway. So for oil and gas companies or energy sector as a broader sector, the contribution I can structure into 3 tiers. The first one is, as I always mention everywhere in the world, efficiency and electrification. Efficiency is very important. I have seen a lot of companies directly talking about carbon capture, utilization and storage, sustainable aviation fuel, so many things. But if you see their ISO 50001 manual and SEUs, for example, if pump or say electric, even any drive electric motors is higher energy consuming unit, they have never done energy audit of that particular machine. So so it's totally contradictory, and that's why I would once again re-emphasize efficiency and electrification as a first tier. So I would want optimizing energy uses, so energy sector can contribute via optimizing energy uses, reducing flaring, mainly because we also have mandate of zero routine flaring by 2030, deploying leak detection system, electrifying operations like furnaces and all using renewables. This is the first tier. Second, I would like to add about decarbonizing hard to abate stream, basically. So there we can scale CCUAs, and we can shift to cleaner fuels, alternate fuels. We can replace for example, refrigerants with higher global warming potential. So all these things we can do under tier 2. And the last but not least, the third tier, definitely nature and market lever. So it will enhance carbon sink, basically, like mangroves, for example, even integrating waste management. So one person has asked question about waste management. So integrated waste management is one of the pillars defined under Article 4 itself. So, and using high integrity, basically offset, registered, as Sumit mentioned, under NDC registry. So this is very important. In addition to that, I would like to also request to focus on Article 10, which is mainly focusing on innovations and mandating climate performance indicator in project feasibility study itself. So what does it mean? It means that whatever the future investment is, it must disclose not just financial internal rate of return, but also carbon adjusted performance. So that embeds net zero thinking itself into the DNA of any capital allocation. So according to me, energy sector role is very clear. First efficiency, then innovate, and then go to market and offsets, and generate offsets. So all while actually you have to align with national competitiveness and diversification goal. So in a nutshell, I would like to say that energy sector is contributing heavily towards achieving net zero. We have our own challenges, as I already mentioned, but we are thriving for excellence. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Brijesh. This is another good point that you mentioned. Really. Like this is also going to enable and fast track a lot of innovations. Mr. Sarfraz, over to you. Do you see innovations kicking in the waste and water management under the pressure of these regulations that could help companies? I think Mr. Brijesh touched heavy on energy. If you have something more, please to add on to it. But especially in water and waste management, given that those are also important pillars. Are there going to be innovations or the innovations already kicking in? Your perspectives?
Sure. Yes. The first thing is that the waste is only created by one species in this universe, and that is human being. The rest of the universe recycles, reuse everything. And in fact, this is where you can get influenced by Indian philosophy and Indian thinking. It's not one life. There's a multiple life which keeps on going. Everything. Say, like to me, I'm myself, probably what I was would have been waste. And once I have lived my life, again, I'm going to live it. But it is kind of nature is recycling. And if we try to look into that particular aspect of it, waste is nothing but the same thing which is utilized have been disrupted. When you put the harmony in between, it becomes useful. Take off the harmony from there, take the order out of it, it will become waste. So this is one of the key aspect of it. Now, I slightly disagree with Brijesh that electricity to me is kind of the finest kind of energy. And it should be, before we look into that, there are two aspects which I would like to bring to the notice. One,
No,
which,
what I wanted to mention here is electricity powered by renewable. So when you have furnaces
exactly.
powered by natural gas, then better to at least
Uh,
electrify it. You cannot close the
uh,
furnace, correct?
I do agree with that, but I have slightly different perspective of that. That most of the time, to me, each and everything is renewable. Everything except the what we talk of the solar, the entire cycle is powered by sun. Except geothermal, everything, geothermal and nuclear, everything to me is renewable. It is powered by sun's energy in different form with a different gestation period. Electricity might be having the gestation period that the sun would have shine for 1 kilowatt, few hundred thousand hours to create 1 kilowatt of that particular energy, which is highly concentrated. So this is where we have to appreciate it. So like the thermal energy, like very often we apply very high quality of energy for the lower things. So it is basically mixing, how you are mixing it. The water which we are taking it, the same water has different purposes and different, what we consume is not water or energy. If you follow the first law of second law of thermodynamics,
Right.
You cannot create energy, you cannot destroy energy, you cannot create matter, you cannot destroy matter. Then what are we talking about? There is no net zero. There is no nothing is, we are not using anything. We are only transforming it, everything. And that transformation is the harmony. So like if you look into that one of the example which comes to my mind, which is probably, it would illustrate one thing, that we have been given everyone is given a magic lamp, Aladdin lamp. When you rub the lamp, a genie comes out and it grants you wish. Okay, now that is one thing. What you do is that you cannot put the genie back into that lamp. Now, bigger the genie, more time it will take for nature to put it back. So that is the moment you start having appreciation of that. This is what I call is that it will call for a disruptive development. Incremental development has a very limited scope, means that it is already getting saturated. So the basic thinking has to come from the disruptive thinking. How do we adapt, say like for thermal energy? So to me, one of the very important aspect of it is thermal comfort. Thermal comfort takes the enormous amount of energy, and with the changing climate, it is the most challenging one. Now, if we look with only the vapor compression system to do that, I feel that we may fail miserably. There are possibilities to use that particular thing in a very different manner. We have to look the physiology of human being. We require 37 degrees to be maintained, with every person is emitting about 100 watts of energy and remain 137 degrees centigrade. So it requires, that can be, there are many ways to reach room. But if you want only the vapor compression, that air conditioner or district cool, maybe we may not be able to face those challenges, reach those targets. The same way I talk about the granularity. So like it is very important that what granularity of the data we are looking for. And it is very important that, because if you're trying to use very fine grain, your system will get choked very fast. And that has to come out, that how much grain, that again, this is going between the reading between the lines.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
This is my take on that. Thank you.
Very, I think good that you clarified with Brijesh. Thank you.
But actually, I just wanted to add one line only, because this is all philosophy. In real world, companies at the end of the day, they have to they have some mandates, like for example for oil and gas, to ensure nation's energy security. So like for example, if I have to run furnace, that means I have to run furnace. So what best I can do is I can use renewable to run the furnace instead of natural gas. So that way I can decarbonize. So that was my take, like, because since you asked only from oil and gas perspective, I am trying to explain from oil and gas perspective.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think it's
there is no two opinion about it.
Yeah,
that
I think
you need the entire you have to take the entire range of energy possibilities. This is why I entirely agree with you. That is, if I'm trying to use solar energy for melting the thing, it will be
got
it will
it.
be kind
Cool.
of
Yeah, I think every industry has its own charter of net zero.
absolutely.
Owing to going to Mr. Sumit, I think in the interest of time, I'll also expedite the questions. I think Arman is already pinging me that we are behind agenda and the times. Sumit, I think we kind of touched base on this already. How do you see SMEs in UAE adapt to this law without facing high compliance cost? You kind of did mention that they'll have to do training. Is there anything else that you think can throw light on how can they manage this?
No, first of all, UAE do not plan to. Typically, if you see complete UAE regulations, they always plan to be highly systematic. And the current regulation again may not impact SME because already the count in terms of scope 1 and 2 is pretty large. Like 500,000 tons in the scope 1 and 2 is a large number. So I don't think so that most of the SMEs will fall into that. Yes, the larger SMEs will need to start calculating. At least that step will begin. So I don't think SME is getting impacted hugely. Yes, the larger organizations, like for example, your larger real estate firms, your oil and gas firms, your let's say the firms with large retail stores, all those firms which are buying, let's say, a lot of oil and gas or a lot of transport systems, all those firms will be impacted, but they will be larger firms. Like this particular 500,000 tons is not something that will be breached by any SME easily. So I don't think so that they will be immediately impacted. Yes, where they may be impacted is because given this law has come and already there are a lot of guidances that we are working on with these larger players. So they have started pushing their supplier base to become more sustainable. Like they are doing their scorecard audits, they are understanding whether they are having these policies. They want to understand that how they are measuring their energy efficiencies on those systems, right? So I don't think so in the short term SMEs will have any impact, but in the longer duration this will impact them.
Perfect. On a final note of questions, right? Mr. Brijesh wanted to understand that if the audience, a good amount of them are also from India, right? If the Indian energy companies have to take some learnings from UAE's regulatory or regulatory mandate or whatever your companies are doing in UAE, right? So what could be the low-hanging fruit that the Indian companies can start with immediately? If you could give us a good summary of that.
Thank you, first of all, for the question. First, put SDG 17 always into the picture. Uh, Always have coordination with each and everyone. That way we can learn a lot. Like, for example, today what we did is we learned a lot from each another. But shaping your answer, I would like to say there are three lessons that we can learn. The first is UAE has created a big backbone as far as compliance is concerned. because MRV, mandating MRV system is not easy with electronic reporting, and they have judicial verification power. What does it mean? It builds credibility in global market, and it will serve as a blueprint for India as it scales its own carbon market. Correct.
Got it.
Second one, I would say that this decree integrates mitigation and adaptation in a single framework, which is again not easy, because I remember when this discussion started from scratch, government wanted to have, I think, carbon market law separate, and then mitigation separate, adaptation separate. But the result at the end of the day, with lot of deliberations in place, with lot of committee members, with lot of industry in the mainstream discussion, at the end of the day, what we got is that cabinet decree integrated mitigation and adaptation in a single framework. So like energy and insurance, for example, goes hand in hand. It will not only cut emission, but will also assess physical climate risk and report loss, damage, etc. So this particular approach will greatly benefit Indian companies which are exposed to cyclones, floods, and heat waves. Basically, the climate-related risk.
Climate risk.
Last but not least, UAE model basically blends regulation with market innovation. That was actually our main idea when we were forming that, because it enables offset, it enables trading, it enables even shadow carbon pricing, as I already mentioned. And at the end of the day, it ensures that compliance is not only like obligations, it becomes economical or economic opportunity. It's not only a cost. So what I would like to say, like Indian firms looking to compete globally, especially under CBAM and supply chain scrutiny, the lesson is very much clear. Embed climate compliance as a business strategy, not as an initiative, basically. And UAE has shown that strong regulation can accelerate competitiveness, innovation, and capital flow. So that's what I would like to suggest Indian energy companies can learn from the UAE's regulatory approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brijesh. Not only for Indian energy companies, but I think this is quite a point enough for any Indian companies to follow. I think, right? Climate strategy, it should be your broader top management level strategy, and it should not be initiative, right? Like all the climate related initiatives. Thanks on that. And Mr. Sarfraz, given that the entire climate regulation is developing new rate, are there any pointed collaborations that's going to kick in between India and UAE, given that this mandate has come in? Are there any doors opening up immediately on that perspective? If you can give us a very short note on that.
So like India has offered a very good in terms of the Indian mind, Indian philosophy offers a lot of insights. How do we approach this climate? Like basically so far the thinking is from cradle to grave. Now we are talking of circular economy. Circular economy thought process is already embedded in Indian psyche and Indian philosophy and Indian technology. Whatsoever we are looking, probably the circular economy has been very much embedded. It is still there and it will remain there in India. And this is where India could offer a lot of possibilities. Indian thinking could offer a lot of possibilities. How to work very closely with nature. How do we adapt it? How do we live with nature as compared to what we have been trained in the Western way of thinking? We have to adapt it. That's it.
Thank you. I think that was very precise and pointed for the Indian companies to also to have a look and note of it. And yeah, Sumit, on the same lines, from your world, right? Like you've been offering services and solutions to companies. You've been talking to them about ESG frameworks even before the decree law number just came about place. You've been in the sustainability space. Do you see this regulation offering lessons that could be applied by Indian businesses? And how will this essentially strengthen ESG compliance for companies based out of India, if you had to take a moment to explain it to the broader audience?
So, typically speaking, sustainability, most of the people think that it is something that is being pushed by, let's say, European firms, or that's where it is being pushed. That was previously being seen. But now, with these laws or strict NDC mandates, what UAE has definitely told is that somehow these are just not being pushed by European firms. They will be pushed by most of the global firms. And definitely a climate risk or the climate disasters, they remain there, whether we take action or not. Earth will heat up if we are not reducing emissions. So that becomes a clear taker. So what this tells to the Indian ecosystem is that climate risk or the climate disasters, they are a real threat, and they will translate into transition risk very soon. And we are seeing that India has come up with their own carbon framework, which they want to implement. So that is a good step. They have been talking about the steel, and I think India did a pretty good job in defining the low carbon steel emissions. So that was a great step by Indian ecosystem. But we also need to understand that Indian economy is more complex than UAE economy. It's pretty large. There are a lot of sectors involved. And typically speaking, many of these ecosystems, they may involve large labor force as well. So to change it immediately may not be possible, but that is something that Indian businesses should know, that this is something that is bound to happen. Maybe it is delayed by 1 year or 2 year or maybe 5 year. But if you look into a 10-year horizon, I would say that most of the billion-dollar enterprises would come out of a sustainable landscape, whether it is waste management, whether it is sustainable products, whether it is softwares, because globally demand of these products will increase. Like one of the key thing that I typically mentions in many of my workshops is we are buying cheaper things today because supply chain has enabled it. If today you're gonna buy 1986 Microsoft processor, it will be possibly very costly. You will not get it possibly at a 3 lakhs, and you will get a good laptop possibly at a 50 lakhs INR, right? 50,000 INR. So that is possible because supply chain enables cost efficiencies. And if everyone is moving towards more sustainable products, these cost efficiencies will impact the sustainable products and make them cheaper. And going forward, I don't see that cost pressures would be there making sustainability happen. So I think this is a something which I always say that world is under transition. And once this transition part is over, what will remain sustainable only. So yeah, I think Indian businesses should understand that wherever they are, sustainability they need to include in their products and their systems. They need to reduce their emissions, and they need to benchmark their systems globally. They cannot remain isolated that yes, we are highly sustainable. No, that does not work. You need to take up a standard, measure yourself against that standard, understand what is best possible, and innovate against it. So that's where my take on the sustainability in the Indian businesses exist.
Thank you, Mr. Sumit. I think that pretty much sets the context and the platform for everyone in India to also start thinking on those lines. Yes, yeah, CCTS is in place, and I think looking at the global trend, like UAE is mandated it, Spain has mandated it. I think it's a matter of time that Indian government will also be mandating it heavily, not only for steel and few other sectors, but broadly across major sectors in industries. I would take this opportunity to thank all the esteemed speakers for joining this conversation. So before we could wrap this off, I will want to call back Arman and to take down all the questions that's come across all the LinkedIn and the chat box that we've received, pointed to all the esteemed speakers to take their perspectives for the broader audience.
Thank you, Yashwant, and thank you, Sumit sir, Sarfraz sir, and Brijesh sir, for the insightful discussion. Now, moving to question and answer round. And the first question is from Mr. Mukesh Kumar Tiwari sir. Sir, are you there? I think he is not.
No. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, sir. Please ask your question.
Yeah, my question is very simple in nature. That is, now this new decree law has come up, and we have been appraised that it is going, judicial power is there, and it is highly penalized to it. And so many Indian companies may be providing the servicing, because I think one thing which Mr. Sarfraz mentioned, it is related to some construction related jobs also. So that particular thing will, I think, very much be important for Indian service provider to UAE, that it is going to impact, and how much it is going to impact, and what is the mitigation measures for addressing this issue.
Is it addressed to me?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically there is a lot of learning from the in the building industry. If we adopt from the existing buildings technology, or what because vernacular architecture. It offers lots of possibilities to adapt and learn from there. So this is my answer is a bit philosophical, but yes, it is possible to have a frugal engineering system, which is very much inside in the Indian industry. Frugality is very key thing, and that is frugality will not only save economically, but it will also offer the possibilities to reduce the environmental footprint drastically.
Actually, my question is little bit like this, that Indian companies, those who are doing business with UAE, whether they are going to be impacted by this law, and how many numbers are there, that so many companies may be there, but which sector is going to be impacted through this law for Indian companies providing services in UAE?
Let me take this up, Mr. Sarfraz.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. So typically, if you see the decree law talks about higher emissions. So yes, directly Indian companies who are providing services here, not having detailed operations in UAE, they will not be impacted from their scope 1 and 2 perspective. But yes, what is also happening along with this is that many companies have started putting across these guidelines to their vendors. So they are asking their policy, they are asking ISO certificates, they are asking other certificates. If you are operating in Abu Dhabi, like for example, ICV, if you have your emission reduction plans, and if you have your sustainable in the governance policies, you get 2% more in terms of your ICV certificate as bonus. So there are a lot of other levers where Indian companies possibly would need to become more sustainable, show that their product are sustainable, have those strategies in place. But otherwise, this particular law directly do not impact them, as that will be part of their scope 3 emissions. Scope 1 and 2 is the majorly based out of UAE, so I don't think that will directly impact.
And I would like to add as well here, Sumit and Sarfaraz and the team. See, risk of penalties is there when it comes to non-compliance. So here in this decree, ministry wants us to produce emission reduction plan later on, for example. Now, suppose any Indian company or any other country out of the UAE is providing services which is related to compliance, then definitely as an oil and gas company, I would like to pass that risk to you in my purchase order. This is as simple as it is. So it will not be 100%, but it is on mutually, of course, it will be on mutually agreeable terms. But risk of penalty is high here. It is going to be shifted to service provider appropriately. But out of this, I would like to also add that it is a great opportunity, because Indian mindset, like right now, currently, if we are sitting here for last almost 1.5 hours, how many ideas flew? That actually ideas will not come from other nationalities, to be very honest with you. So our land is full of opportunities. Our land is full of competent people. Uh, so there is an opportunity for Indian service sector to lead in climate advisory role, offsetting role, project services, carbon market linkage. Because see, I remember our old CDM days, how hard we worked to ensure that project gets carbon credit. Right now, everything is structured, streamlined. You have proper platforms. 15 years back, we didn't have anything. Still, we flourished. India registered so many projects under CDM. So take this as an opportunity. But when it comes to proper business and hardcore cash and earning, yes, risk will be there. When you are directly associated with projects which is going to serve as emission reduction. For example, you are servicing us for carbon capture, utilization, and storage, and somehow this project didn't kick off because of a supplier, and you are one of the suppliers, then definitely this you will be impacted.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So just 30 seconds, Arman.
Okay, sir. Yes, please.
So it is a opportunity for Indian companies for providing services to understand decree law in Indian company, as well as provide some service to UAE, if I could understood correctly. Is it like this?
No, sir. with this particular cabinet decree, as Sumit mentioned, even myself mentioned, even Sarfraz mentioned about data, the data, robustness of data, cleanliness of data, MRV basically, it actually leads towards climate advisory services. As an industry, I will not be able to do it. Even if I do, who will believe me? So in that particular sense, there is an opportunity for Indian companies to play a huge role as a climate advisor, offsetting various projects basically to enhance even step up your ESG capabilities and all this thing.
And not
Thank you.
just that, like for
So moving
example, there are
ahead.
companies today.
Okay.
Yeah, just one last point. Like today, there are companies who are moving towards sustainable fleet management. So these fleet management companies, like today, companies are asking that how to do sustainable fleet management, or how to do, let's say, simple green buildings or some newer products. I think that is applicable for any nationality, not just Indian in that sense. But yes, those opportunities exist. Yeah.
Exactly.
I will add one
Yes,
thing
thank you.
last.
Yes.
Last word. I think probably the Indian mindset is to look the possibilities. You know, the jugaad, and the second thing is frugality. And frugality is the key word. Working with nature is key understanding. We are, probably in Indian thought process gives you to work in harmony rather than control the things. You know, the best of the things is they're control free. We have to work with nature. If you work with nature, most of the things will fall in place. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. So moving ahead, we have a next question. So how the data-driven waste management and disposal helps in reducing emission? So from a speaker side, who is going to take this question? How
I
the
can take it.
data-driven? Yes, please, sir.
I can also take it. Yeah, Sumit, you go ahead.
So
Yeah.
Brijesh, go ahead. No problem.
Because see, when you
So
say
can you repeat the question? Yeah. Go ahead, Brijesh.
How the data-driven waste management and disposal helps in reducing emissions? So it's
because
about
see,
data. Yes, please.
when it is data driven, like you are capturing data from smart bins, from IoT sensors, so many things, from SAP. So what we are doing here is we are building real time picture of waste generation. We are having type, quantities, sources, all these things. So with transparency we can identify a lot of hotspot, like flaring oil, drilling, sludges, packaging waste, that directly target reduction. So as Sarfraz mentioned, what gets measured gets managed. So without data, waste is basically a hidden source of emission. Second, if any of you can remember my LinkedIn post, I had defined 27 hours. So here I would like to say only 3 hours. So we can prioritize 3 hours with a data-driven approach, either reduce, reuse, recycle in optimizable manner, because each ton of waste diverted is going to save or going to avoid or going to reduce methane. So in short, it is enabling accurate life cycle assessment as well. Then logistic, as Sumit mentioned, route optimization, then even waste collection, vehicle, basically fuel consumption, reduction in CO2 emission because of that. Digitalizing your scheduling, because I remember one of my business units, we have a software called Lomosoft. So Lomosoft, what it is doing is we have 200 petrol stations across the UAE, across Dubai mainly. So Lomosoft is optimizing the routes. So it will schedule in such a manner that it will reduce trips or ideal trips, empty trips. It will cut diesel use definitely. And last but not least, energy and resource management, waste to energy project can be accelerated. Heat recovery is possible, composting is possible. And above all, since we are talking about opportunity, carbon credit and verification will be very easy when we have data driven approach, because MRV again is very crucial. So in a nutshell, with a data driven approach, waste will not be only a cost center. Actually, each and every kg we will be able to manage in terms of tracking, then diverting from landfill, then even valorizing. Like for example, food waste is used to generate biogas, so it's valorized. It will cut our GHGs, and it will also open an opportunity for carbon credit. So that's what I would like to say. So it's a circularity in nature. It will be enhanced with a data driven approach.
So thank you. Next, we have question from Mr. Mayank Makhwana. Mr. Mayank, are you there? Mr. Meng. So his question is, what are the energy efficiency technology UAE company adapting that can be applied in Indian company as well?
So
Sarfraz,
globally, if you are
this is for
yeah,
Sarfraz for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Well, just to add on Brijesh thing that like to me what measures is managed. Now basically, as I was talking, that waste is nothing but the useful things mixed together. And if you are able to, with the available technology and sensors can identify very, very clearly. And if you are reduce that kind of mixing, you are reducing the reconfiguring of those elements. And that could be a very, very huge opportunity. This is what I would like to say, that like waste is nothing, useful things mixed in a, like disorder. It is only management of order and disorder. That's it.
Yes, thank you, sir. So is there any other question apart from this question? Like, is there anyone who want to ask?
There is
from
also one
participants?
question on carbon credits as well.
Yes. Yes, we have one question from Mr. Siddharth Sekhar. So his question is, carbon credit to offset emission seems like the quickest way to compensate for high emission. Thought on the same. Do you see companies buying high quality projects at least $100 billion plus, or do you see people moving towards IRECS, and will they source project internationally? So anyone from panelists?
Sumit, you will take
yeah,
it.
yeah, sure, no problem.
So just
So
clarificate,
number
I think
one,
if I have to read it right, I think it's $100 plus, not $100 billion. It's
yeah,
$100 plus, or do they go for cheaper or viable options, which is IREX? Yeah, I think that's the question.
yeah. So I think, guys, first of all, remember that each organization is also smart, right? When we advise them that typically organizations are already focusing that they should focus on, first of all, their own reductions. Buying carbon credit is possibly the last means because, definitely that's one source that they can utilize. But ultimately speaking, they need to reduce their emissions, and that's where they will start with. And anyway, when the credit buying happens, typically speaking, the common norms across the markets that we have seen is that people try to source the local credits. They will not go for the international credits. And again, in terms of you're looking for the $100 credits, typically, let's be honest, $100 you have seen where? Possibly in US, possibly somewhere in Taiwan, even in Europe or Australia or New Zealand. Your $45 to $60 or $70 have not breached, right? So typically, I don't see that in a very foreseeable future. We'll be looking at $100 plus. Possibly speaking, those carbon capture project credits, they have gone extremely at a high price. But I don't see that in the near future your carbon credits will go at that high price, and they will be based out of local. I mean, most of these credits would be typically based out of UAE or GCC. That's the first preference, and then possibly going to the other markets. In terms of the IREC versus carbon credits, there is no two ways about it. For example, if company wants to reduce their scope 2 emissions, they will go for IRECs. If company wants to reduce their scope 1 emissions, they need to use carbon credits. And that's the kind of the differentiation between IRECs and carbon credits that exist. So companies, when we are dealing with, they are utilizing both of these instruments. But as I said, all of these instruments come at a cost, and each and every company, they're looking to optimize their cost as well. But yes, for example, lead green building projects, you have companies needs to buy carbon credits to claim their buildings are lead certified, because at platinum level, at times they are not able to increase their solar capacity till a particular level, or the roof is not available, and they buy these credits to claim the lead green building certificates. But that is happening, and I don't see $100 breaching anytime soon. And I don't want carbon credit pricing to go so high. I want companies to implement these projects internally and reduce their emissions. That should be the intent, not exactly buying the carbon credits.
Thank you, sir. So these are questions from the chat box. Is there any question from any of the participants? You can ask our panelist.
And meanwhile, I will add that that's why in the law itself, if you read, energy efficiency is higher in article and carbon market is down the line in article 10. So efficiency, as Sumit mentioned, is the correct thing. But yeah, and one more point on IREC I would like to add. I have seen a few businesses buying IREC as a first step towards ensuring basically the clean energy procurement strategy. Mainly Singapore based companies, they do it very quickly because they know that their infrastructure is not supportive, and even though they put any type of capex, they will not be able to do because of stringent regulations, because of shareholder demands, many things. So they straight away buy IREC and negate the effect. But yeah, it remains attractive IREC to minimize basically scope 2, and it's cheaper also sometimes.
Yes, yes, thank you. So is there any question from any of the participant? As we're, there's one question from the Cyclo Ventures. So are you here? You can ask your question.
Hi, greetings, Mr. Rahman. Greetings, everybody. Greetings to the panel.
Yes.
Okay, so I represent Recyclo, and I just wanted to explore and understand. I am into this similar business and similar vertical in the Indian ecosystem. So, how can we explore and expand ourselves in the UAE market?
I mean, if you want to, if you're looking at particularly in terms of expanding, try to see that UAE organizes a lot of these fests, right? They have a lot of these where you can showcase your products, come and display your products or display what you are doing. Companies will see it and they will reach out to you. And as I always say, that there will be competition, and it's not like until if you are not doing anything unique, then you will need to pass through the same competitive landscape. But if your products are unique and you display them into these various conferences and exhibitions that happens, you will get good interest, and then subsequently you can capture that interest further through your digital marketing means or other means. But yeah, I mean, you will possibly need to showcase whatever you are doing innovative into various these conferences or exhibition to reach out to your initial clientele.
Thank you, sir. So we have 4 minutes left. Is there any questions from any of the participants for our panelist? I think no question. Shall we conclude the webinar? So let me begin with the closing remarks. So thank you to all our speakers and for the valuable insights, and to our participants for joining us today. So what's today discussion shows, it's clear collaboration turns compliance into opportunity and climate action into shared growth. On behalf of Fitsol and with the support of Mission Life, we thank you once again. Together, let's keep pushing the boundaries of sustainability and impact. So thank you once again to all of you and for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, all. It was really wonderful exchange of ideas.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Ah.